What is going on, everyone? I hope everyone is having a great start to their Monday. I'm just getting at it right now, let me just try to push live on LinkedIn, add to stream. There we go. So we've got everyone on Zoom. What's going on, everyone? Appreciate you tuning in on a Monday. I mean, it's like, what else you got going on, right? It's probably like lunch break time. Maybe you're just getting started in the day. Still got a sleep in your eye. I get it. I was there today too. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. This was actually one of the people on my team, Shelby. Her and I were talking about topics, and she's a recent grad, and she brought up to me that right now that transition from college to employee, from your first few jobs to your next few jobs. So goal for today is I'm gonna try to walk through all my different career choices, dumb and not dumb. Tell you a little bit about how it impacted me, how I handled it. But I think if you're interested and you have questions, like maybe you're at a certain point, what's going on? If you're on the Zoom, do me a favor, drop in your name. Well, actually, I already know your name. Drop it. I always mess this up. Your role and your company name. So just role, company name. Rana, what's going on? Appreciate you joining as usual. Craig, what's up? Todd, I promise I'll bring the fucking heat for you. Peyton, stoked to learn. Love it. Daniel, what's up? Dino, what's going on? Dino. I wish I had. Dino's one of those names where it's like, I'd be a fun one to have. Dino. I don't know why. I just think it'd be fun. So, all right. So start dropping in plus your guys' questions. If you're like, hey, Jake, here's where I'm at in my career. Here's what I did. Here's where I'm trying to go. Let me know where you're at. Let me know where you're trying to go. I'll try to get very, very specific. Or if it's not me, maybe there's someone else on this feed who can help you. So we'll start with, I'll go back in time for y'all. I'll tell you about Missouri State University. Okay. It used to be called, when I went there, it was actually called Southwest Missouri State University. It was home of the Bears, the Missouri State Bears, if you don't know. The Missouri State Bears, oh, Shelby, it looks like you hopped in there. Hold on a sec. All right, let me switch it out. Shelby, are you good? You get it figured out? All right, we're good there on Zoom. So I went to Missouri State. I grew up in Kansas City, if you don't know, home of the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. And did not have a clear plan. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with the jobs in college because I think it's important. So I wanted, my grandpa was a banker, very, very successful banker in Iowa. And so I thought I wanted to go into banking like grandpa. He owned a string of banks. He owned 21 banks called Hawkeye Bank. I did an internship. This is an embarrassing story. Okay. So I did an internship my freshman year. I got a job. At first they offered me a job as like a teller or something. I'm like, do you know what my last name is Dunlap? Okay. Like I'm not going to the middle of nowhere, Nebraska to go be a bank teller. I could go do that in Lee Summit or wherever. So I get this job. It's this amazing rotational program. And I have no clue. I'm a maniac at this age, right? I'm 18. Just 18 going on 19. I'm a complete maniac. And I got into it with this guy, and because he kept calling out, he goes, I said something to him to the effect, it was something in regards to like partying. And he said something to the effect of like, I don't care what your last name is. You can't talk to me like that. I'm like, dude, I don't know what I just said. I'm really sorry. And then he reported me to HR. It didn't end well. So that was my career in banking. That was done. I realized I don't want to work in this type of atmosphere. Then I ended up getting into then when I went back to school later, I got into telemarketing, and I got into telemarketing because it paid really well, right? It was like, you could call these people. You'd have to get their credit card on the phone. I sold MCI WorldCom. I sold vacation packages that would get you to the timeshare pitch. That was my job. And so, and then I went and waited tables for the last 2.5 years of college. I had to take a semester off after my junior year. All I wanted to do was sit around and smoke weed and do nothing my junior year, nothing. So I'm like, dude, I've got to get my life together. So I took a semester off, waited tables, very quickly realized, okay, Jake, lock it the fuck up. You're like, you can do this. And then finished, went through school, went straight through summer school, straight through winter breaks, and like got my life together. So I was very fortunate. And I've talked about this a few times. Let's see. So Frank's got a question here. What are your thoughts on the recently built out business development function within PE VC firms? Okay, Frank, I'll get to that one. That's a good question. Again, if you all have questions about your career, where you're at, I'm happy to get into it with you today, right? So next up, so my first job out of college was with the Tampa Bay Rays. Okay, Major League Baseball team. For a lot of kids, like, this is dream job. It certainly was for me. I was so stupid in the interview process. I thought I could be a general manager. They go, Jake, what do you want to be in 5 years? I go, I want to be a general manager. They're like, Jake, this is the business side. This is not the baseball side. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But let me tell you this. I got the job, and I've shown you, if you follow my lives, let me see if I can find it. If you follow my lives at all, then you probably have seen this before. This is how I got my second job with the Coyotes. This is my business plan, right? And so I was the only kid straight out of school. I showed up to that Tampa Bay Rays interview with a business plan. And I said exactly how I was going to sell tickets in Tampa. I talked about tapping into the Hispanic community. I talked about forming a relationship with the Downtown Alliance. And I did my homework, and I got the job. So every single job that I've ever got, the job with the Rays, the job with the Coyotes, the job with my first leadership job, I brought a business plan to the interview. And I was either I think in every case, I was the only person that did that, right? Is that I was the only person who took the time to say, look, I've thought about what this next job is going to be, and here's why I think I'm going to be successful in it. Exactly. So I'm telling you all, the reason you may not be getting your promotions or your dream jobs, or you're losing out in the interview process, is your business plan might be flimsy. It might not be all encompassing like it needs to be, or like the detail or creativity might not be there. Or again, you're just showing up. You're not giving me any insights as a hiring manager. It's what are you going to do when you start? So that's number one. If you want the next step up in your career, whether it's a VP of sales, CEO, it doesn't matter what it is, you have to be thinking about, am I actually demonstrating that I know what this role is going to be about? So there you go. Todd said he'd hire someone who brought their thoughts on how to run my business better. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not, guys, this is like, how many pages was this thing? This one is good. It was how do you sell hockey in the Arizona sun? And so literally I talked about competitive positioning against the Suns. I literally wrote out a script. Let me see if I can get it close enough. Like, oh wait, hold on. It's because of this fancy camera. So this is literally a script of what I was going to say when people asked about the Suns. Here's how I would rebut it. When people asked about hockey in Arizona, here's how I'd rebuttal it. Like, you're telling me you're a sales manager and you see that, you're like, okay, wow, this guy's like 8 steps ahead. So Sam Bjork has a question, trying to get into a closing role, account management. Isn't there? How do I interview for these roles with no experience? So Cam, this is a great question. So I'm going to keep talking you through my career, Cam, and I'm going to take down this question for sure. And guys, again, keep dropping the questions in here. Be selfish. I know if I was sitting, at 25, 30, 35, like, I knew I had a lot of like questions and things. So I'll just try to share my best. So I was in Tampa for a year and a half. I got promoted 3 times. I was on the group sales team. I got promoted to an account executive. Then I got promoted to only one of 2 senior account executives. And then myself and the other senior account executive we hired and ran the first ever inside sales team at the Tampa Bay Rays at the time. Let me tell you how I got promoted so fast. I mean, and by the way, most of the people that I was getting promoted over had either been at the team or in sales and sports for at least 5 to 10 years. And a few reasons that I got promoted so fast. And Cam, this is for you, man. So I was in group sales, right? And I knew I wanted to get into the season side. It was a step up. It's like a hierarchy in sports. It just is what it is. And so what did I do? I said, well, look, if I'm gonna want to get into that role, I better start selling some season tickets now. Like, I better start trying to do the job that I want today. And that's going to be a theme that you're going to see in my career in particular, is that I always, and I've gotten anytime, out of everyone who asked me for career advice, I think you can be the judge of what you think the best advice is. I think some of my best advice is always be thinking about the next step. Is this job that you're taking now preparing you for the next step? Too many people just think about that first step and then they realize like, oh crap, I actually wanted to be here, or I wanted to be here. You have to think about your career multiple steps ahead. So for Cam, okay, so you're in sales development. Cam, you know, if this is me, you know what I start to do? I start to take discovery calls. Might get in trouble, but I do it. So if you're in sales development, guys, it's really easy. If I'm in sales development, here's what I'm gonna do. One, I'm gonna make sure I'm one of the top performers. That's the prerequisite, okay? You have to be one of the top performers, or don't expect to be magically picked. It ain't gonna happen for you, okay? So step one is I'm gonna go to the AE team lead. Hopefully I'll get my boss with me. I'm gonna say, hey, Mrs. AE team lead, I really wanna be on the closing side. And I realized you don't have any open positions now. Here's what I would like to do. I would like to start to take the discovery call, right? I'll let you listen in, right? I'll let you do this, right? Whatever you need, but I'd like to start to take any discovery calls that look like this. Is that cool? Most AE leaders are gonna say, okay, yeah, we'll give it a try. Or, okay, if it's not cool, how about if I can have one of your reps who would be taking the opportunity sit in on it, and then they could listen to me as well. I'm telling you, Cam, I think and this is for everyone in sales development, all of you people in sales development just waiting around for these AE jobs, go start taking them. Guys, there is no chance if I was an SDR today that I would not be running disco calls. And then sometimes even running demos. I would just be down with my headset like, okay, guys, all right, so next steps, let's talk about this and this and this. Why? Because I needed to practice now. Guys, you don't get a new job and then you get the luxury of practicing. It's not how this shit works. You got to start preparing for the job you want tomorrow and the next job today. So I've always had this ability to analyze myself and my own shortcomings and not get too down on myself either. So if I knew that I kind of sucked at this thing, or I kind of sucked at that thing, I would just be honest with myself and start to think about those shortcomings, right? So I hope that helps, Cam. So that's what I would do. Cam, if you're an SDR, I would start to go talk to my boss. But again, you better be crushing it. You better be doing well. Don't be like a middle to bottom of the pack performer and then asking for these closing. But again, look, you're going to see a theme as I talk about me getting fired that I am an ask forgiveness person, okay? Which is good in certain cases and very not good in other cases. So what happened in Tampa, things were going well. There's a lot of embarrassing moments in my career when I think back to it. I'm just going to try to be like as open and honest as I can about you guys, about dumb shit that I've done in my career. So we got a new VP of sales of overall sales in Tampa. So I'm here, season ticket, Jake. In my own mind, I am God's gift. I am the top seller. I'm destroying these fools. I know that I'm doing extremely well, okay? This guy starts, and he's like your classic, I think he came from the Warriors or somewhere. I cannot remember his name. My boss at the time was a guy, Clark Beacom, who's actually here in Austin now. He's the CRO at Austin FC, the new MLS team. And Clark was probably like 28 at the time. And I made Clark set up a meeting with this VP because I had questions for this VP. Because I was mad that he hadn't came down and visited us and talked to us on the season ticket side. And so I make Clark set this meeting up. This poor guy, poor Clark Beacom. Hold on, I got to tag Clark real quick and just let him know I'm talking about him. Clark Beacom. All right, Clark talking about that meeting where I asked your boss, what are you all about? Can you imagine that? A 24-year-old kid coming to your office, you're a VP, you're like a mid-40s VP. And yes, I was good, right? Can you imagine this kid comes in your office and goes, yeah, so I think it was Jason or some shit. Like, Jason, so yes, can you tell me what you're all about? This guy, the look of disgust on his face was massive. Like, this guy just wanted to strangle me from across. I could just tell. And so I ended up getting I left because I realized, okay, well, that wasn't good. I think I'd actually already interviewed before just because I felt underappreciated. That's something I'll give advice on all. Like, there's not a young person I know who doesn't feel underappreciated in their role. So you're not alone. if you feel underappreciated, you feel like you should have had your at-bats. And then over time, you realize like actually becoming really great takes time, et cetera. So anyway, long story short, I get the job in Phoenix. It just so happened my brother had just moved to Phoenix. He had just graduated college. So that was really great. Got a job with the Phoenix Coyotes. So, and that Phoenix Coyote job is, I think, one of like the most proud jobs. So it was a group interview. I flew to Phoenix from Tampa. They had 35 people in this interview. 35. And so it's basically like you're kind of set up in these chairs. They had like a panel. They were firing questions. And then you'd go and meet. Then you would go and meet with like a few people individually, and they'd make a call. I was the only person that got a job. Only person. 1 out of 35 people, I was the only person that got the job. Guess what else I did? I was the only person who brought a business plan. Right? Now, I'm not saying that's the only reason I got the job. Like I knew this, like I'm good at, I've been naturally good at sales for a long time, but also I was prepared for the interview. I knew who the players were. I knew who the people that I was going to be interviewing with. I knew what their jobs were. I did my homework. That's it, man. I always, it's the same thing in big meetings. I do my homework. I don't just sit and wing it. I do the homework. I show up prepared. So that job. So let me tell you what that job taught me. Okay. So I'm about a year into the job. This is post lockout. Wayne Gretzky was our head coach. We were not very good. And I didn't grow up loving hockey, but long story short, so there's a boss I had. Okay. You're just going to see a theme of me leaving jobs. The next one I won't laugh at. So this guy, okay, he would get drunk with us. Let's say if you had a client who had a suite, he would have a couple cocktails. He'd go out to happy hours. And so what happens in sales, and I'm sure a lot of you, but this happens in other roles, is you think that people are familiar with you, so then you can be familiar with them. No, that's not the case. You can't. So he sent me an email about something, and I very jokingly said, fuck off in response. Very jokingly said that to him, and like blah, 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 something else. Didn't even literally thought nothing of it. A day and a half later, I get called in the office. Jake, you're fired. You can't talk to your boss like that. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I wouldn't talk to my boss? Shane, you were drunk in a suite trying to get my client to sign on a napkin, and you're busting balls. Like, it was a super good learning moment for me that don't ever get too familiar. You get familiar with your boss, but in 5 to 10% of cases, it's okay. But in 90%, it's not. Like, I would like to think that my people, well, I already know. I mean, my employees have told me to fuck off before, and I didn't fire them, right? Because I probably was giving them shit or deserved it, right? So most bosses can't take it. Most bosses are like, I am the authority. You must respect the authority. And I just don't vibe like that. So anyway, so that's how I got fired from the Phoenix Coyotes. I remember I was driving back to my apartment. I had Train, Drops of Jupiter playing in the car, just crying. Oh my God. I spent my whole life trying to get into sports. Oh my God, I got fired. Is this guy going to be a reference for me? I told him to fuck off. Like, oh God, I'm crying listening to Train in what kind of car did I have then? I didn't have that Civic yet. I had what was that called? Dodge Stratus. I had a Dodge Stratus. So that sucked. So I thought my career was over at 25 because I got fired for telling my boss to F off. So I was messed up. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So actually the same sweet guy, he was in real estate. This is in Phoenix in 2006. So real estate was hot in Phoenix. If you guys don't remember, Phoenix, Vegas, Florida were the housing bubbles that got blown up. So Gerard, I'm glad that you enjoyed my pain. So I went to work for a client, and basically what I was doing is I was going around to pre-foreclosures and getting people to sell us their house and then lease it back. It's called a lease back. I did that for like 6 months. I made okay money, but I had no discipline. I would wake up, at 10. I'd play some Xbox, go knock on some doors, go back. I was not mature enough to work for myself at 26, 27, like no chance. So then I got lucky, right? So I saw an ad in online on careerbuilder.com, if you remember CareerBuilder, for CareerBuilder. CareerBuilder was opening an office in Phoenix. So I applied just like any other job. I was just applying for some jobs. Got an interview, went in. I remember the interview process very well. I don't know why, my memory's kind of shit. There was a guy they sat me with. They said, this is the top guy. This is one of the top people in the company. And they had me, it's called Y courting. It was basically like you kind of hook in and you could listen to. And I listened to him. I was like, this is your top dude? It's like, I'm going to destroy these people. And I remember, again, yes, I did tell the hiring manager that I thought that I was better than their top people. And she almost didn't hire me because she thought that I was overqualified, which happens, and that's where I think, for me, I showed her that, like, look, I'm trying to change careers, not in sports anymore. And so for me, I had to convince her that, like, I really wanted this is what I wanted to do, etc. So at this point in my career, so I'm about 27 at this, 27. So this is one of the most important lessons. If you guys are taking notes or if you want to timestamp anything, this would be the time to do it. So there's a couple of lessons I learned in my first, basically 3.5 months at CareerBuilder, man. And I'm going to tell you the whole real part about my first 3 months at CareerBuilder. Again, there's some stupidity in here. Okay. So, I get the job. This is in November. It's middle of December or like end of December. I still haven't sold anything. And I was like, what is going on? Like, it was like a training class, like 8 people. And I was starting to be like, man, what's going on? Like, I know I'm really good at sales. Why isn't this working? And then the director of the office at the time, I don't know, I can't remember if he listened to my calls or whatever it was. Evan Ross, I've talked about Evan quite a bit. Evan Ross said, Jake, why aren't you reading the script? He's like, why aren't you doing the discovery process? Why aren't you I'm like, the script, Evan, do you know who I am? I'm Jake Dunlap. I don't follow scripts. Scripts? That's for the amateurs. I am Jacob Dunlap. And he goes, Jake, do you think we train thousands of people on a sales message that doesn't work? And it was like the biggest light bulb in my head went off. I was like, well, no, he's like, exactly. He's like, just do me a favor. He's like, drink the Kool-Aid. It's like, just do it. He's like, just execute, drink the Kool-Aid and watch. So I did it. I was like, look, whatever I'm doing now, it ain't working. And again, like, that's where I started to learn this mindset of just, I posted on Instagram about this yesterday about beg, borrow, steal from everybody, that I started to do it and I started to execute and it worked. And so that's for all of you out there, is that if you're young in sales, if you're new, guys, there's a reason your company has a message or a script. It's because it works. So just do that. So that was a massive epiphany for me. Massive epiphany for me, right? That is when I first learned sales is a science. There's a right and a wrong way to execute a sales process. It is not this willy-nilly bullshit that people who like try to claim it's pure art. It's not pure art. I had the art side down coming into it. I had the raw natural ability, the ability to get uncomfortable, to control a conversation, have charisma, I already had all that shit. But what I didn't understand was the process and the science. And as soon as that clicked for me, I closed $60,000 in net new business in January. Started in November, second to last person to sell anything, closed $60,000 in new business. No inbound leads. It was all cold outbound leads in January of 28. So this is right before the market did that. In January, at one point, so then I got promoted to leadership right after, but in between, oh God, we had our sales kickoff in Chicago. Okay. I had never been to a sales kickoff before. Okay. I came from sports. Sales kickoffs are a rage fest. Okay. Where you just go and get hammered for 2 days and you listen to some trainings, blah, 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 training, blah, blah, blah. I think we had Bill Clinton speak. CareerBuilder always had the best kickoffs. I mean, the speakers were always phenomenal. So, oh God, somehow I had a buddy from college in Chicago. He put me in a headlock or something in the elevator. It makes noise in the elevator. Security gets called. The next day, I realized he thumbed me in the eye. I had like part of a black eye. My manager had to come and give me makeup in the morning to cover this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And my boss pulled, Jake, what in the hell is wrong with you? Like, what is happening? And I go, Evan, like, dude, please don't fire me. I'm like, please don't. I'm an idiot. Like, I'm so sorry. And thank God he didn't fire me. Okay. He didn't fire me. 2 months later, right? I've rebounded now. Like, okay, let's just leave that part of your life behind, Jake. Let's just like not drunk wrestle your boys in like a hotel lobby. Like, anyway, so that happened. So 2 months later, my boss got let go for some other reason. I can't remember why she got let go. She was amazing. I owe a lot actually to Amy. Amy taught me a few techniques that I still use to this day. So Amy gets let go, and there's a woman on the team. She's been at the company for 2.5 years. She relocated from Chicago to Phoenix to be the first leader there. Then there's me. I had met with Evan in January after this. He goes, Jake, why are you here? What do you want to do? I go, look, I want to be in leadership. And that's when Evan taught me the second most important thing, a piece of advice he ever gave me, which is, Jake, leadership isn't a goal. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, it's not a goal. He goes, because I control it. I pick who gets hired. You don't get to pick it. I pick it. Goals are only something you can control. He goes, so let's talk about what I look for in leadership. Are you number one of the top people in activity? Are you putting the work in day to day? Obviously you're doing sales, but that's a prerequisite. Are you being a mentor for your team? You're leading trainings, etc. Doing those things, that's what equals getting promoted to leadership. So for all of you, and by the way, that is the same advice for any step up you're trying to get to. You have to make goals things you can control. And so you have to manage up. You have to ask your boss's boss, what do they look for? You got to ask your CEO, what do they look for in their next VP or whatever is the role that you want, right? And so what happened? What do you guys think I brought to that interview for my territory? You got it. I brought a business plan, right? I'd been at the company literally for, at that point, 4.5 months. She'd been there for 2.5 years and relocated. I got the job, right? Why did I get the job, right? I did everything he told me he wanted to do. She had been there for a long time, and so she had been complacent. She just assumed it was going to happen. I went in there. I said, look, here's my resume. You told me to do this, did it. And here's how I'm going to take our territory to the next level, right? And I brought that. 2 years in a row, my team was the #1 team percent to quota in the entire company. 2 years in a row with the inside sales groups. So, and the reason was, and I'm going to give you guys 2 of the most important things that I learned very early on in leadership. One, in the early days, I was not, because it's just like a lot of top performers. When you get promoted, you get frustrated easy sometimes at bottom performers. I was not very good at that, right? I had trouble with some like not anger, but like visible frustration, which still at times comes up, but a lot less than it did back then. So long story short, what happened next? Why were we so good? Oh, well, again, what I had learned from Evan, and this is like, it was a process, right? My team could execute the process like nobody else. And I consistently was building a bench and nurturing the kids in the group below to make sure I was getting the best of the best. My team, during that same time period, and we remained #1, had the most promotions off my team. And we were selling job ads in the Pacific North. Let's be very clear about what I'm talking about. This is 2008 and 2009 selling job ads in the Pacific Northwest. If you guys don't know what happened in 2008 and 2009, my friends, those were not great years for hiring, right? But why? We executed the process. Boom, boom, boom. That's what we did. My team just became relentless at execution. So then I had another epiphany, okay? I'd been in that role for 2.5 years. The next step up in leadership wasn't really managing people that were that much different than the reps I was now. I just didn't see the next leadership promotion as really a skip, like a step. So it's 28, 29. At that time too, Career Builder had a program where they would pay for your MBA if you applied. So I applied and they paid for my MBA, got my MBA at Arizona State, went to school full-time for 18 months and worked full-time. Why did I go get an MBA? Why, as a sales manager, did I go get an MBA? I'm going to tell you a few reasons why I got one. One, if you rewind back to the very beginning of this, I went to Southwest Missouri State. with a 2.98 or 2.9, I can't remember, 2.98 or 2.99 GPA in 5.5 years. It's not the best look, right? So I realized, like, if I got an MBA, that would probably help. I also realized, look, when I went to college, I didn't go to college to learn. I went to college to get a piece of paper. I went to college to get a piece of paper, which is probably why a lot of you went to college. Now you've got to realize nobody gives a shit about your piece of paper anymore. Now they care about, what are you going to do for my company? And so for me, I ended up, Lynn Mantell, share the script. Lynn, I probably do have, DM me, Lynn. I'm going to go try to see if I can find the original discovery script from Career Builder. I know most of it by heart, because candidly, it's not that different than what what we'll work with organizations are on. So got my MBA. I realized I needed to learn. I got exposed to all different kinds of personalities. I was in sales, man. Sales, we are a very insular group. We all kind of behave the same. And engineers, finance, banking, like all kinds of different people I got exposed to. And I'm like, whoa, these people think, like, their whole thought pattern, operations, their whole thought pattern is different than mine. And so it was helpful from an exposure standpoint. One of my best friends I met there is best man in his wedding. He was in my wedding. But I did it to learn so I could get better. I didn't just do it for a piece of paper. I did it so I could learn. And I think, again, a lot of people, they go back, they get their MBA, they do it for a checkbox. No, I was actually trying to learn shit, which is kind of supposed to be the point of education, that you actually want to learn stuff. So what happened for me is I decided to go, I realized that next step up for leadership was not going to get me to where I really wanted to be, which was like an area vice president. So I decided the only way to do that is to go back out in the field. That I left my cushy leadership job, moved to San Francisco, went back into the field as an enterprise account executive. Why? How was I at 29 years old going to tell some grown ass 45-year-old woman or 50-year-old dude how to close enterprise deals if I didn't know how to do it? So I knew that was a skill I had to go get. So I did it. I got promoted in the first 6 months to a national account executive. I was the youngest national account executive after 75 at 20, I was still 29 at the time. 29, I was closing deals with Intel. I was working with the largest private healthcare system in the state of California. So I learned the enterprise motion quick, destroyed quota. And then we used to do these account review things. How many of you, by a like or a thumbs up, how many of you have been a part of an account review process at a company where it turns into them just shredding you publicly in front of people? How many of you have been a part of just getting rocked by those things? So here's what I never understood. I had to participate in a lot of these and had my teams have to participate. But there was a very specific formula that you could tell the leaders wanted to see. It's like, where are we at today? Who are the new people that are going to be involved? What's a roadmap to sell to them? What's the next timeline for me? It never happened to me. I just kept seeing other people get lit up. I'm like, why do you guys keep getting lit up? It's the same format. But anyway, did one of these with our area of experience. Jake, things are great, blah, blah, blah. Maybe in 2 years, you're going to be ready for an AVP role. I'm like, 2 years? I'm like, dude, I did not go back into the field to spend 3 years in enterprise sales. I went back to prove that I understand how to work enterprise deals. I set up meetings with the CEO of Kimpton Hotels, the CHRO of Intel. At that point, I had producers. I was like, okay, I am proficient enough at enterprise sales to couple that with my leadership skills. And that's when Glassdoor came knocking. And really what happened with Glassdoor is a buddy of mine in Phoenix who was working at Career Builder. Hey, Jake, there's this company in San Francisco called Glassdoor. You know Glassdoor? Yeah, I know those guys. They're looking for a VP. I was like, yeah, why not? I'll have a convo. Had a convo. I got the job. You guys already know what I did. You guys already know I brought a business plan. But the most shocking thing was the offer letter had somebody else's name on it. And I knew the guy. And this dude is probably 50. So here I am at 29. I get an offer letter with a 50-year-old dude's name on it. They pulled the offer letter from him and gave it to me. Why? Because, guys, I had laid the framework. I'd proven I could be a successful frontline leader. I'd proven I could close enterprise deals. I had a sales process that I had built at Career Builder. You will never become a VP, my friends, if you don't have those 3 skills. Right now, the enterprise thing, if you stay in SMB or mid-market, you don't have to have the enterprise sales skills. That's different. I wanted that. I love enterprise sales. It's like literally my favorite. So for me, I then became like the perfect first VP candidate because I had all those skills. And because again, I had put myself in that position by getting all those skills now before I ever got the job. And again, that's the issue, is that too many people think that you get the opportunity and then you get a chance to demonstrate you can do it. It's not how it works. You got to start doing the job that you want today, right? I've said that a few times. Facts: read to succeed, apply to earn. Jeffrey Gitomer. I actually worked, Gerard, with Evan Gitomer, his cousin in Phoenix. I actually just talked to Evan the other day. All right, so that's what's up. Then I got the job at Glassdoor. So Glassdoor, I was there for a year and a half, got promoted to VP, scaled the team from 0 to 40 in about 16 months, 0 to $1 million in MRR in a year, basically. We did 3 million year one. And I just applied the framework. I already had it. And then like a lot of other companies, I was 31, right? And well, here's where I messed up. This is probably one of the dumbest things I did in my career. Now, as you guys can tell, there's a lot of dumb things I did in my career. I didn't get enough mentors, and I didn't know the Silicon Valley playbook. This is why when I put out that post this morning about the VP of sales cycle, I didn't know that if I was hitting my numbers, that I was going to get a boss. Still, that just made no sense to me. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like crushing numbers here. Our team's rocking, and you want to layer me? You want to bring in someone who, again, like the older white dude, which is the Silicon Valley recipe, right? It's like once they get to here, then you bring in the older white dude. And then once they get to here, you bring in the next older dude. It's the same vicious cycle. And for some reason, people keep putting up with it. After my second stint of this, that's when I opted the fuck out. I was like, oh, I see what's going to happen. I'm going to make a shit ton of money. I'm going to get equity. But every 2 to 4 years, I'm going to get fired, whether I like it or not, even if I'm performing. But I learned that after my second one. I'll get to that. So at Glassdoor, that's what I learned. I had a repeatable sales process. I had success in demonstrating it at the enterprise level. And just, my first year at Glassdoor, we closed 24 of the Fortune 100. I knew how to get my foot in the door. I knew how to close enterprise deals because I went in. And again, guys, I took that job to be a student. How often are you making career decisions to become a student again? Right? Like Michael here talking about moving from a manager to learn enterprise sales, just like I was talking about. You should be taking roles to be a student just as often as an executor. Think about that. Take a role to be a student just as often as you do to be an executor, right? And if you have that mindset, especially early in your career, you are going to leapfrog peers. You know how many people at Career Builder I've leaped past because I kept taking the harder, not the easy path? I remember there was a manager in Phoenix. I'll never forget this dude, and I won't call him out by name. But he would tell his reps not to take manager promotions because he had a lot of really experienced reps because they would make less money. And he was right. I would have made more money as a frontline person. But we're talking about lifetime earnings. Not, am I making 140, 150, 160 this year, and then next year I'm making 160. It's like, no, well, this year I'm making 120. The next year I'm making 140. The next year I'm making 160. And then guess what? I'm in an income bracket you can never get to as an individual contributor. That's what this is about. It's about being patient. It's about taking the time to be smart about your decisions and not taking jobs for more money, right? I get it. Like if times are hard, look, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm not judging anyone for that. But if your career is nothing but a bunch of lateral hops, start to be more deliberate about your next one, right? So then left Glassdoor. My wife and I did not love San Francisco. A lot of love for San Francisco. Wasn't our jam. Love New York. Went to New York. Was there at a startup for Chartbeat was just a bad choice. But I mean, their culture was a very product-driven culture. Very product-driven. And I thought by going there, it would like help me to round out edges. Like, oh, no, because I was trying to come in and provide structure and sales discipline. It did not go well, right? And it wasn't their fault. It wasn't this was a good example of sometimes in startup world, when you're going from that Series A to Series B or Series C, you don't quite know what you need. Other times there's this layered stuff where the person doesn't even get a shot. But with Chartbeat, it was just like square peg round hole. You know, it just was. And Tony and I both knew it. And so we were able to have a conversation about it. And then I just started to be honest with myself. You know, I started to be honest. I literally sat there, I talked to my wife. I said, I don't think this won't happen again. Like, and I was 32 at the time too, right? So I'm like, I'm not very good at office politics. And what I saw all around me were these people that were so good at it. They knew how to jockey here, have this relationship. And I was just used to being look, I know how to really build a sales org, like a rapid, high performing sales organization. That is my skill. I'm not good at this office politics shit. I'm not only am I good, I'm probably like historically bad at it. Like not just, I'm like, yeah, anti-good. So then I started my own company. I started Skaled. And really, I had never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. I never thought I'd own my own company. I had no dreams of this. I think a lot of people, they always think that. They're like, yeah, I wanted to start my own company or do my own. I literally, guys, I never had that thought an entire time. I don't think I had that thought one time in my life until I just did it. Because I started to realize then I could control my own destiny. Why? And I was Colin Cadmus has kind of started to figure this out too. If you guys know Colin, follow Colin. I'll tag him too. He'll appreciate this. Colin Cadmus, talking about you. Talking about you, man. Is what happens is you start to also, as a VP of sales at a startup, sometimes you start to think that you are insane. You're just like, these growth goals are not realistic. And I sat there and listened to, this is when did I speak? It was last summer. I spoke at an event in Chicago for Sales Assembly. And before me, there was a VC, an ex-sales leader turned VC, my favorites. No, not. And he basically said, bad product, sales got to figure it out. Sales has got to marketing's not there. Sales has got to figure it out. I literally got like physically sick to my stomach. I was texting with another sales leader that I know. I'm like, I'm going to like get physically sick and vomit, because that is the expectation. Bad product, your fault. Bad marketing, your fault. Engineering's behind, your fault. And it's not that, you know, it's almost a feeling of like, you know, you can't win. Like you just know, as a VP of sales at a rapid growth company, you know that you cannot win. The amount of VPs, just go ahead and find me 4 VPs of sales who have made it, their full 4 years investing. That's got to be like 3%. And people that made it from like the beginning to IPO, there's just no leash for it. But you see CTOs that make it. You see CMOs at times. You see your CFOs usually will get layered too. But in a VP of sales, it never happens. So I realized that. I started to see, I'm like, Jake, this is exactly going to happen again. Even if you do play nice, even if you do get better at politics, in 2 to 4 years at that company, they're going to be done with you. I said, man, fuck that. I'm not trying to be. I'm not going to let other people control my destiny. And so I started Skaled with this idea we could come in and support companies through that growth process. And so that's what I did. And so some of the mistakes that I made early on, and then we'll get into some Q&A before I wrap up. So go ahead, start dropping in. I'm going to take probably 3 or 4 more questions. If you're on the Zoom, my folks on the Zoom, you're slacking. I've had no questions off the Zoom yet, right? Now over here, we're getting some on LinkedIn Live, which is great. So start to drop me like 2 or 3 questions. I'll take those. The most important thing I'll tell you is this, is if you're going to start your own company, do less early on, even though I know you want to grow. I think what really hurt me is for the first 3 years of the company, you know, it's like, hey, is it sales related and you've got, you know, $5,000 in your pocket? Like, we'll do it. And I you know, I was 32. I also didn't do a good job of getting mentors. That was the theme that I think I've just realized over time. The power of mentors, the power of peer groups, those types of things and how important they are. So that's my advice. Like if you start a company, go small to start. Don't try to do everything. You know, don't try to do everything at once. Just be really good at 1 or 2 things, right? That's it. All right, Frank. So that's it. That's it, guys. That's my career in a nutshell. I just summed it up for you. I told you about when I asked my first boss, what are you all about? And he got pissed. I told you about how I told that boss to F off and he fired me. How I got a black eye at a company kickoff. I don't think I've ever talked about that one live. That's for sure. And thank God I didn't get fired there. Shout out to Evan for going to bat for me. And yeah, then like the VP of sales life, which was all awesome. So, all right. So Frank's question, he bubbled it back up, bubbling my question to the top. Question back on the business development function in a PEVC, hyper focus on the next step. And I'd love to hear your perspective on it. Frank, I think you're asking about, should you have a, like that they're having these business development functions in PEVC. So here's my take on it. I love it. I really think that more, and I see it more in the private equity world than the VC world, OpenView, and there's a few others in the VC world that do a good job. But if you are a private equity, growth equity, and you're making investments and you're going to help your companies with revenue, I'm all for it. Like for example, so I'm a limited partner at Stage 2 Capital. And so if you guys know Mark Roberge, he's one of the general partners, Jay Poe's another one. Then there's another 100 sales and marketing leaders like myself who are all the LPs. And the first fund we raised, I think we have 8 or 11 investments now. And that's our whole thesis. Our whole thesis is that we can bring expertise to bear, and that when the money's flowing and you can get it anywhere else, why not get it from people who are experts? So I think it's a smart thing, Frank. I think more and more people are going to have to do it. But they've got to also make sure that they add value. So that's my hot take. And Frank, if I didn't answer your question, you can go into it. Big fan of Stage 2. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Nathan Williams. What's up, Nate? Nate, by the way, you have to go back and watch the video I did yesterday about why IT sucks in the procurement process. I specifically was using you as an example. So go back. You can hear Nate from InCamp get a little shout out in there. So go back and look at the video. I put up a video yesterday. Most people, I was partially to have some fun, but I was talking about how bad IT sucks in the procurement department. Or like whenever you're in the buying process, like how they start, they bring up, all these technical things. You're like, we'll talk about the technical stuff, but let's do that in the technical meeting, not the business ROI meeting. And so how to kind of put IT over here while you're trying to talk business process. So anyway. All right, so my man Vlad, what's up, Vlad? I'm proud of you for getting a job, man. Vlad was out there hunting. What this guy did, if you guys are looking, here I'm gonna drop his LinkedIn for all my folks in Zoom. You guys should go check out what this dude did. I'm gonna give him a little love here. Is when he went on the job search, right? He really started to make his kind of quest to get a job, him building out his network. And so if you guys are looking for a playbook, if I was a job seeker, I would go just do what Vlad did. So Vlad, big shout out to you. Starting a new job next week, what would you be successful? What would you do to be successful? An account executive mid-market. I would go to my boss and my boss's boss, and I would say, what are the things that you expect from me other than hitting quota? And I would pressure them on it, right? Do you expect me, if I don't make 50 calls a day, are you gonna look at me poorly in your eyes? Hey, my boss's boss, when you're looking to promote your next manager, what are the 4 things you're looking for? Guys, there's so many, and I find this as a CEO, because it's tough for me. It's tough even to get my own people to communicate with me, because at times, I'm your CEO, I might be your department head, and then I've got to collaborate with you. We've got 25 people in the company. And, I find consistently the number one reason for conflict is expectation mismanagement. That I'm expecting something here, and I think I'm vocalizing it. You're over here, you're thinking you're vocalizing it, as opposed to just getting on the same page. Anytime I feel that conflict with someone, I immediately hit it head on. We need to sit down and talk about expectations. I'm feeling some unmet expectations. I can tell you are. Let's just put those on the table. So Vlad, that's what I would do, brother. I would sit down with my boss and my boss's boss. What do you expect to me? What does excellence look like over the last 90 days? And don't talk about just hitting numbers. That's not it. There's probably other things you expect. Do you expect me to send you a recap at the end of every week? Do you want a deal review? What are the things that I can do that make moving me to XYZ a no-brainer? That's it. Guys, too often you start from back here and try to work forward and guess. Stop guessing. Stop guessing about what your boss wants and just go sit down and ask them, because maybe they're not figuring it out either. So that's what's up. All right, let's see. We've got some questions now coming in. from Somsey. What's up, Somsey? What advice would you give within B2C to go from SDR to sales VP? So B2C is a little bit different. It's just more, a lot of this becomes repeatable. That especially in B2C, there's two things. If you said, Jake, I wanted to grow a sales career in a business to consumer product, there's two skills I think that you need to have. One, because sometimes it's more transactional, you have to have a repeatable process. If you can't sit me down and walk you through every single thing that you do to be successful, you're never going to make it to VP, because when I get to the VP level, I need someone who has a process and system already built out. I can't have someone who's just winging it. That's one. Two, marketing. If I was a sales leader in B2C and B2B for that matter, I would go get a minor in marketing. I would go learn how to run performance marketing ads. I would learn how SEO works. I would learn, because the bleed between marketing and sales is like, in B2C, it's just like one blob. In B2B, it's getting there. I'm telling you guys, if you're in sales leadership, your job is going to get swallowed in big parts of it by marketing in the next 5 to 10 years. So I think with anybody, go and up your marketing skills. Understand how to use a marketing. I implemented Marketo at Glassdoor in 2010. It's fucking obvious to me. The first time I saw this is 5 years before Outreach or SalesLoft ever were invented. Dude, as soon as I saw Marketo as a sales leader, I was like, what is that? Like, wait, you can do this, this, and this? I bought Marketo for my sales team in 2010 because I saw it. Like, so that's my point, is y'all have to, you really have to think about where's the puck headed and skate to where the puck's headed. If you want to be a sales VP, I need a repeatable process. And especially if you're B2C, I need you to understand marketing. I need you to understand how that works. Okay. Masood asks a question. I got time for maybe one more question. So somebody sneaks one in on LinkedIn. I appreciate all of you. If you had a takeaway, you can toss a little thumbs up there. Let me know if you guys had a takeaway. Maybe even drop. Actually, it would be a lot of fun in the chat on Zoom or in the comment on LinkedIn. Drop maybe like a quick 5-word, like your top takeaway. And maybe, what we can do, Shelby, is maybe we can aggregate some of this to like people's top 5, top 10 takeaways. So drop in your top takeaway in the chat on Zoom and the comments on LinkedIn Live. Did networking help you in your journey? If so, how did you become better at networking? So this is a really good question. Guys, I sucked at networking until I started my own company. I single-handedly think it's one of the reasons that I failed as a VP of sales. Well, not failed at the job, it failed at the politics. And I did not do good enough job of getting peers to network with who could help me to see around corners, right? And so that's how I built the company. As I started doing these, I used to think networking was cheesy as shit. Okay. I used to think networking was cheesy. It was fake, all that stuff. And then I had an epiphany. I'm like, well, I like one-on-ones. What I actually realized I didn't like these networking events. I liked one-to-one networking. And so I just did that. So my advice, no, I did not network enough early on. Colin Cadmus, how are you so handsome? It's 100% the camera, Colin. I'm telling you guys, you got to go up your Zoom setup. So this is a Canon EOS. It's a DSLR camera. And then the lens on it, I'll send you. If anybody wants to know the setup, I'll send it to you. But the lens helps, man. It's all staging. Colin, got some false lighting over here. You know the drill, man. All right, so let's see. One more question. Gerard, avoid the headlock. That's correct. That is correct. Avoid the headlock. Okay, here we go. Libby has a question. We're gonna wrap it up here with Libby. And then Shelby, let's make sure we're copying and pasting all these comments out of the chat too, because I think there's some really good stuff in here. Just started in Feb right before COVID hit and still trying to ramp up. So new reps starting in COVID. Nate had actually something really similar when bringing new reps on board outside of hitting quota, letting them know what we expect. Yep, that's such a good one, dude. That's one of the things that I've taken with me is, and sometimes I forget, sometimes I don't do it, but usually I'm pretty good about it. What are the things you expect from me that we haven't talked about right now? So if you're a rep and you're starting out right now, just make failure not an option. Like I said, guys, I started my tech career at Career Builder. in 2000, end of 2007, really, 2008, 2009, 2010. Guys, that was the worst years to be in jobs. Like there's literally, other than right now, in the last 10 years, like failure wasn't an option. And I feel like if you have a mindset of like, I'm just going to keep, because I would just keep trying new things. That didn't work. I'll try this. This didn't work. I'll try that. That didn't work. I'll try that thing, like just keep trying new stuff. So Libby, like that's my advice is like, just make failure not an option. And like, who knows, maybe it still won't work for you, but at least it won't be, you can look back and say that you gave it 100%. So, all right. Well, look, I appreciate all of you. I will be so I'm basically taking off this week. I'm just here for you all today. You're going to see me back again on Friday for the recap. We're going to be putting out a lot of videos this week. Shelby on the team has been busting her ass, putting together some fun videos. I just launched one yesterday that I thought was pretty good about, like I mentioned, IT and the sales process. So we're going to be putting out a lot more videos. I love these live formats. We had over 50 people today on live consecutively, which is great, which means that we'll probably had 500 or 600 who joined throughout. Craig, I appreciate that, man, about honesty. I just think what I find is just the more honest I am, it's cathartic. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Because, you just don't have to wear masks. I've talked about authenticity and masks before too, but look, as always, if y'all have questions, you can always DM me, find me on LinkedIn. If not, I'll see you all Friday at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern for the recap. Shelby's got a banger lined up. She's promised me we're gonna have crazy graphics. Might be some fireworks. I don't know what Shelby's got cooking, but she promised it's gonna be fire. And then we've got a brand new guest for next Monday. And Shelby I don't know if we've confirmed, but it's a friend of mine, and his name's Mateo. And Mateo is an SDR director. Mateo ran a 40-person SDR team, and now he's a published novelist. So he quit being an SDR director, very successful one in New York. Probably at the time when Mateo he was probably the most successful SDR director in New York, in the city. Quit to then pursue his passion to be a writer. And now he's got his first book coming out in January. So we're going to talk about storytelling in sales and how his experience led to him kind of finding his creativity and what he wanted to do. So same time next Monday, me and Mateo are going to chop it up. It should be a lot of fun. So appreciate all of you. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your week. Like I said, you can DM me, get at me, and I'll do my best to respond. Take care.